that was not the day that we were supposed to do this, and they had nothing for me, and I had to come back. And by that point, soldier problems. I was worried about the fact that I had 20 kilos that could go on the plane, and I had it packed, and it was at 20 kilos. And I was worried about getting anything else because it was going to put me over the 20 kilos, and I would have to have key discussions internally over whether I was going to take this T-shirt back or whatever it was. Anyway, so I went over. I managed to get a ride. I went back over there the day that we were going to talk, and we exchanged gifts. And for me, we had exchanged a lot of tea. Like, we drank a lot of tea over that year. So I had found these very cool teacups that were, you could put them in the back of a military vehicle and run over them with a tank, and they would probably be okay. Well, it was going to be a nice gesture. And so the colonel that I was working for and that I was mentoring gave me this beautiful woven mirror that I still have in my office. And I, of course, accepted it and then thought, how is this going to possibly make it back in my duffel bag? But I figured out a way because it's on my office wall now. But the one that really, really made me choke up was my interpreter, who he didn't give it to me. He gave it to, it was a necklace. To this day, I don't know how much it's worth. I've never bothered to go get it appraised or anything. And it could completely, totally be fake. But it was this diamond-looking necklace that he gave to me to give to my wife because he wanted her to acknowledge his appreciation for the fact that I had spent that year over there and that I had helped him be able to go and get married and have this beautiful experience, and that he wanted her to acknowledge that his appreciation for the fact that while he was getting married and spending time with his wife and his family, I was away from my family. And honestly, I did cry. I didn't expect that. I wasn't expecting that level of connection. And I think for me, going back to where we started, that's the hardest part of it. Is that for me, I got to know these people as people. They were, with all the hopes and dreams and aspirations that anybody would. And to acknowledge the fact that watching the country fall apart, I realized that I knew people that were there that were possibly going to be irrevocably affected in the long term. And when I was there, they were all very hopeful. And they all, I think that there was a sense of, there were bad guys, Taliban, but at the end of the day, most people were pretty convinced that they were eventually going to figure it out and they were going to work it out. And I think at the moment that Kabul fell, my first thought was to Amman, because I've never kept up with him. We lost touch. I'm horrible at social media, bad at, ironically enough, as a public affairs officer, it's embarrassing to say that, but I'm bad about that. And, we lost touch through the years, and I don't know what happened to him. And I still don't know what happened to him.
How does that make you feel? Because you were very close, obviously.
We're really close. I feel like I let him down, like being from America, being from the United States, having had a lot of privileges, we'll say, from having grown up in that country and traveled the world and married kids. I think for me, I always felt like I owed him the ability to have the same. And having not been there and then being powerless in this headquarters to do anything about it felt impotent a bit in the fact that I couldn't do anything. And then the idea that I wouldn't even know who to call because I don't have his phone number, I don't have his email. There's no way to know. So, your memories are always strongest in that moment. And if you were to go back and try to recreate the same thing, it wouldn't be the same. And that's just life. But for me, I still think of him very much as I did when we were riding on the bus, and he said, one day you should bring your wife and we'll go to Jalalabad and go look at pomegranates, because I had mentioned to him one day that my wife is a nut about pomegranates, and he told me that, well, they grow these enormous pomegranates in my country, and I would love for you to come back one day and we can go and see the pomegranate orchards. And it'll probably never happen,
It might never happen.
you know. And that, to me, I really hate glib, grim. I mean, I very much try. It's an odd thing to say as a military person, but you train and train and train. You hope that you never have to go to combat and do anything that's really horrific. You know you may have to, but at the end of the day, you can appreciate peace probably better than anyone. And so for me, I always thought there would be kind of long-lasting peace there. That there would always be little things that happen, but that on the whole, Afghanistan was on the up. And I don't think I can say that now. So for me, it's just very difficult to look back at that and wonder what happened to Amman. What happened to Colonel Abdul Hai, who I worked with for 10 months. What happened to those folks? And I won't know. I don't know how I would begin to go and try to find that out. And part of me, honestly, is worried that maybe I don't want to find out. Because if I don't find out, in my mind, I can still go back to the happy place where everything was okay.